Hi, it's Aisha White, and I'm here today to talk to you about the topic of saying sorry, apologizing. So, if you're a human being, I'm sure you had a situation where you had a disagreement with someone. And typically, the way that disagreements go is that there are, multiple parties, and one party thinks that their viewpoint is correct and that the other is wrong. And, in the simplest terms, that's basically what it is. And they're going back and forth. And, of course, this leads nowhere, arguing, debating, unless you are like on a debate team, I suppose. There's no real end goal there, and it doesn't really gain you anything to argue with someone. What it does is, it creates distance between people. If it's someone close to you, if it's your significant other, a friend, family member. And so I just wanted to address that a little bit. I was inspired by something that actually happened in my own life a few weeks ago, and just having to come to terms with the situation and addressing it and being able to move forward with it. So I just have a couple tips or reminders, if you will, as to how to handle a disagreement and the apology that follows. So I'll give you a little bit of an example without, I'm attempting to give you the example without giving you all the details of it. But basically, I was working on a project, and I was approaching it from the way that I approach projects. When I have a lot of information to take in at once, it takes me a little while to just kind of comb through it, because I want to be sure that I comprehend it all and that I can confidently say, like, hey, I know this, I understand this, and I can work through it and maybe even explain it to someone else. As I'm working on this project, someone close to me was asking questions. They were wondering about my progress on it, basically, and was I seeing success as I was working on this project. And I was trying to explain that, hey, it's just taken a while because I have a lot to comb through. So, those people who have like a million tabs open on their laptops, on their computers, that's me in real life. And then also in my brain, I feel like just my mind is working overtime in all these different areas. And so I could be working on one project like on my computer, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's a good idea, I need to ask that question, and I'm taking notes on my phone, interrupting whatever's going on my computer, because they're two separate thoughts, but they're happening at the same time, and it's just opened up a new tab in my mind. And so I have all these tabs going on in my, running at the same time in my mind. And so that's very much so what was happening with this project. I had multiple tabs open, and I'm referring to different information and kind of comparing and contrasting in order to arrive at a decision. And also, I had a video going on my phone. I was like, okay, and I'm referring to this video where they're talking about a specific topic. And all that made sense to me in my brain, but from the outside looking in, it seemed probably not as productive as it could have been. It was probably how it appeared to someone else from the outside looking in, and someone that doesn't think in the same way that I do. And so there was questioning about my progress, and just why I was addressing or approaching the project that way. And I was trying to explain, but I couldn't really. And it was like a frustration at me not being able to clearly explain why I was doing it this way. And also, it was coming off as defensive, because I was feeling as though I was being interrogated, or the way that I was approaching this project was not the right way in their eyes. And so they were asking me why I was doing it that way, but it was, a question to point to the fact that like I'm doing it incorrectly, and that's how I felt. And so as I'm trying to explain, it was probably translating into I like doing things the hard way, because they even suggested like, hey, why don't you kind of take this template and apply it to the project, and it would make it go easier, it would make it go quicker. And I'm like, well, no, I can't use it. It has to be organic. I can't use the template. I have to go about it in this very specific way. And like I said, it's probably translating as, no, I want to do this the hard way. I want my life to be harder. Yes. And so, two people with two different brains, two different ways of approaching work, they're not seeing it the same way. And I'm trying to explain and over-explain why I want to do it that way, and the other person's trying to listen to me and take it in and make it make sense to them. And it's not that they're an intelligent person and they understand, but there's still the question as to why won't I take a different route in order to make things easier for myself. And I think the answer for me was just that I don't feel comfortable with that. I'm the type of person that needs to know with 100% confidence that whatever I'm saying, whatever I'm presenting is something that I know 100%. I'm not comfortable with the idea of kind of like being like, okay, this is it, and I'll take care of it later, or I'll follow up later to make sure I am comfortable with everything. I 100% know this information, because there were terms that I was using with this project. There were just the language that I was using. It was things that I needed to 100% know. And so if someone were to come to me and ask questions, I could answer them fully and not be in a situation where I'm like, I will let you know, I'll get back to you. Like, that's just not how I operate and not how I think. And so the idea of that just freaked me out. And so it created tension, because like I said, I'm trying to explain myself. I'm feeling attacked, I'm coming off as defensive, and that person sensed that, and they were kind of trying to defend themselves and explain, like, that's not what I meant. And there was just this tension that was building, and it was uncomfortable. And we ended up just kind of basically like, we stopped talking at one point. And we went our separate ways and didn't address it. And days later, I felt bad about it, and I apologized, and we're like, okay, they accepted and we're fine. But it just really highlighted for me, because it's been a while since I've had a disagreement with anybody, and so for me it just highlighted the fact that everyone thinks in different ways. And so when we think about arguments, when we think about differing opinions, we have to consider things like that. And I think it's important to keep a couple different things in mind. One, don't be afraid to be the first to apologize. I know being the first one to say I'm sorry feels like you're conceding. It feels like you are admitting to being wrong. And it does not equate to that. I know it may feel that way, but you could be right, but you are just wanting to go ahead and address it, because why allow those tense feelings to linger? It's just going to get worse. So someone has to initiate the apology. So it won't hurt to go ahead and be the first one to say it. And I think you can be led in that based upon your prior knowledge of the person who you got in a disagreement with. If you know them well enough to know that they just need a little bit of time, and then you can come back together and they will apologize to you. But if they're the type of person that maybe won't, and maybe they'll hold a grudge, but it'll be like a silent grudge, and you don't realize, like years later, like, I haven't heard from that person, and you realize that it's because they didn't want to be the one to say sorry. And so I think you just kind of gauge that based upon your knowledge of that person overall and the type of person they are. But I think that it's a benefit to both of you all, to the full-on situation, if you are unafraid to be the first one to say I'm sorry. It won't hurt you, I promise. Arrive at a place of acceptance. Accept the fact that we're all different. Based upon your upbringing, your social class, financial background, race, gender, any qualifier that you can think of, it shapes our worldview, and it's what makes us different. And we're going to have differing opinions. We're going to have differing ways of solving problems, differing ways of expressing our emotions, because we're human beings and we are unique in so many ways. And that's okay. Maybe you lead with your feelings before your thoughts, or maybe it's the other way around. But that doesn't mean anybody's right or wrong. It's just different. And that's okay. And you have to remember also that what is right in your brain is not right in the other person's necessarily. And so as you see someone going about something, you may be like, I don't understand why you do it that way. That's incorrect. But that's just your opinion. You can't make someone think exactly like you do. You can't make someone be this model for how you think life should be lived. Everyone is different, and you have to accept that at some point. Moving forward, you can establish with that other person that you won't get to that place of anger. You address whatever it was, whatever the topic was. It could be like different political views or something like that that might reoccur, something that would come up again. Then it takes a conversation, a real conversation about what these things mean to you, how important they are to you, how much they shape who you are as a person, and how you all are going to go about talking about those topics. If you decide you are going to talk about them, if you want to be able to do it in a way that is open and comfortable, and you don't feel like either party is being attacked. And so that just takes open communication in whatever relationship form that is. Family members, significant others, friends. If it's a topic that you know will come up again, then it's important to just go ahead and address it at that time. Hey, for future reference, I don't want to fight with you about this. Here's what we can do going forward so that it won't be an issue anymore. If it's something that, if there's a change that has to occur in that person's life, maybe like a bad habit that they have, then that's worth a long conversation also. But you just have to establish your boundaries and what you're willing to talk about with that person and how deep you're willing to go when it comes to those topics, because you might not ever want to go to that place again, and though that topic is off limits for you, but you'll have to have that open conversation. And so at the end of the day, it comes down to not being afraid to be the first one to say sorry. It's okay to be the first one to apologize. Accepting that your worldview, your opinion, the way that you think, the way that you solve problems, the way that you express emotions is going to be different than the other person before you. And also establishing whatever boundaries it is, whatever limits there are, or even establishing that you're open to talking about a topic, but having an important conversation with that person. Because if you're at the point where you had a disagreement about something, then it sounds like it's probably the case where there was a belief system, or sometimes it's really petty, really ridiculous things that we end up finding ourselves arguing about. But in the case where it is something that you maybe hold closely to you, maybe like a belief system that you have, then it's definitely worth sitting down and having a conversation with the person, like a lengthy discussion where you can get to the root of your ideas, your thoughts on the topic, why your views differ, and how you can be able to effectively communicate with one another going forward without having to argue about it. If it comes down to people's love languages even. I did a previous video with my awesome friends Amber and Cody, and they were talking about the 5 love languages and how they apply their top love languages to their relationship and how they interact with one another. And I know that that's a big thing when it comes to expressing emotions. if your top love language is spending quality time with someone, and the other person's top love language is gifts, and that's how they want to communicate that they love you or care about you. They get you things and they don't spend time with you. Well, then you're lacking in that area. And if that's not expressed, one day it can just kind of all bubble over and you're upset because they're not giving you the time that you need, but they're loving you the way that they know how to give love, and that's through gifts. So that's just an example of how we can differ, and what completely makes sense to us may not make sense at all to the other person, may not be a priority to the other person, and then it leads to differences and it leads to arguments. And hopefully we can avoid them. We'll never ever get rid of disagreements because we're different, but I think that we can address it in a different way. I think we can handle it differently so that there's not grudges being held, so that, you know, people are falling out for years and years and never speaking again. That's tragic, really. It's somebody that you love and someone you care about, and because of a issue, because of a petty topic, or because of a misunderstanding, you decide that you don't want to talk to that person anymore. Then that's love lost, and anytime that happens, it's tragic. So I say, be willing to be the first to say sorry, be accepting of the fact that people are different, and be willing to have a conversation about the topic, move forward, and be able to grow from it and retain a beautiful relationship with that other person. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next week. I know there's been a little bit of variation. I could make an excuse and try and explain why, but really it won't matter now, will it? So I'm not. I will save you that. The plan is to be back next week, and I'm looking forward to it, and lining up some more guests also with some really, really interesting topics. So we can look forward to that. I want to thank all of my subscribers. It's awesome to see this channel continuing to grow. A couple weeks ago, one of my viewers, Chloe, was like, "Oh, Aisha, you're almost at 100. I'm like, I know. It's just been a couple months, and when I first started this channel, I was like, what am I doing? And I didn't really know, and still kind of just playing it by ear, really, trying to figure out what I'm doing, still gaining my footing. But it's been awesome so far, and I've been able to make some really, really great connections with people through this, and it's awesome. What I'm doing is I'm communicating with people as a result of this channel, so it's great. I thank you so much for taking time to watch my videos, for taking time to comment, like it, tell people that you know about it. If there is something, a specific topic that I've covered that you are really interested in, if something moves you, then please share this content with other people. And if you've got something on your mind that you think that I should tackle, if you have suggestions for topics related to communication, a burning question that you have, definitely express that to me. Comment letting me know any suggestions that you have for upcoming topics, any ideas that you have. And if you'd like to reach out to me, over on my About tab, there is the link to my blog and also my email address. So you can reach out to me and shoot me an email if you like, and we can chat a little bit about the topic of communication. If I can offer my help in some sort of way, if that means being a listening ear, then I'll do that. Or if you just want to talk, that's cool too. Thank you. That means we're communicating. That's the ultimate goal with this channel. Thanks to my OG subscribers. Thank you to my new subscribers. Welcome. I hope that you are enjoying the content so far. Like I said, if you're enjoying this, if this moves you in some sort of way, then definitely share this content. If this is your first time viewing me, my name is Aisha White, and I make videos about becoming a better communicator myself. As an introvert, as an INFJ, there are particular challenges that I face when it comes to communicating and clearly communicating with other people in social settings. And I would like to become the best communicator that I possibly can. And along that journey, I realized there are a lot of people out there that are just like me and feel that same way. And so what I'm doing is interviewing other people. Some of them are introverts, some of them are extroverts, some of them are ambiverts, and talking to them about the topic of communication and looking at it through different lenses, whether it's creativity, whether it's, you know, a heavy topic that has inspiration in the end, like my previous interview that I did about overcoming addiction. You can go check that out. I think it's really effective and really relatable, whether or not you have a personal connection to addiction. But looking at things through different lenses, and it all circling back to the idea of communication, because at its core, each and every one of us communicate from day to day, verbally, non-verbally. Maybe we're making eyes at each other. Everyone communicates in some sort of way. It's how we survive. And so we should probably improve and be the best that we can at it. That's the goal. Thank you so much for watching. You all have a great day, great week, great weekend. Bye-bye.